Wilder Show podcast. I'm Scott. That's Lauren.
Yes, it is.
How are you today, Lauren?
I'm fine. How are you?
Okay, I'm okay. The Wilder Show podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. Central Time, or before on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube, on the TikTok now and again. On Instagram as Wilder Show Pod. And the email is podcast@wildershow.com. Or just give us a thumbs up or a like or a question or a comment. Tell us how you like the show. Tell us what you don't, if you want, wherever you find us on the platform there, or email us at podcast@wildershow.com. So wherever you get your podcast, would you like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share? And we appreciate that. Fauci, a day before yesterday, he invoked his Fifth Amendment right. I think it was 111 times.
But who's counting?
Yeah. On advice of counsel, I refused to answer under my whatever protection, the fifth, whatever.
What color is your tie?
On advice of counsel, they did ask him, what color is your tie?
Yeah, it really was just like that.
What color is the carpet? It was, and let's just say a word about COVID for a second. Wasn't that the weirdest thing? I mean, when it was going on, it seemed like it was never going to end. And now it seems like it was so long ago. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that long ago, 5 years ago.
I don't remember feeling, well, 6, I guess, 6. It was 6 in March is when everything closed, closed down. I don't remember feeling like it's never going to end. I think some younger people, I know my kids who were all still mostly in their 20s at the time, one still in school. I remember them saying, like,
are we there yet?
Is this ever going to end? What if it never ends? And I think it wasn't because I was smarter, just age told me this too shall pass. Yeah. And it did. And not to suggest that things weren't impacted in some ways, maybe forever by what we went through then. But then in some ways, not impacted at all. In some ways that I thought, everybody said, "Oh, well, all we'll ever do is tap elbows from now on," and all of that. I mean,
well, some of us
we hug and we shake hands.
Some of us shook hands even during that time. Yeah, I mean, some of us, it was interesting because it did change some things. I think the whole going into work thing has changed. I mean, everything is very different. Now, except for this will sound terrible to say, except for the death and the sickness, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind everything being shut down. I loved it. When I was out on the road, nobody was there. It was like, I don't know. I would say it was like rapture had happened, except I know two things. Well, I'm pretty sure of one thing. But the other thing I do know for sure, a whole bunch more people would still be on the road if rapture had taken place. So I knew it wasn't that. But it really was like a ghost town. I mean, crazy. But it didn't bother me. No. And it didn't impact what we do. For what we do. But it does, I thought it went on a little long. I was never a huge fan of all the shutdowns and all the, there's a restaurant near me, and out on the sidewalk, there still is the painting of 6-foot distances between people. I just thought people took it way too crazy. People were driving around in their own car alone, wearing a mask. People were out of doors, jogging, coming in contact with no one, wearing a mask. I just thought it was. But why
I remember this between, because we had so little interaction with other people. We had a lot of interaction with each other. And I do remember, I do remember a lot of these conversations. If somebody's jogging with a mask on, why do you care? Yeah. Why is
it's not that. The mentality, the pressure that they feel to do this thing that means nothing except that someone has told them to do it.
I think
that is like out of a dystopian movie.
Even that suggests that we know their reason for wearing the mask.
Well, okay, maybe they think they're going to, when they're driving in their car all by themselves with the windows up, maybe they think someone is hiding in the back seat. That they would not be wearing a mask.
I just don't. I wonder how many people did you actually see wearing a mask in a car by themselves with the windows up. And again, even if they did,
I didn't
so
count.
what?
Well, I know,
I mean,
but you asked me, what do I care? It's not, I don't care. It is the sense that there was a societal pressure to do something. And I'm all for everybody doing what you're supposed to do to keep people safe. I don't want Nana to die because, Junior doesn't believe in masks. I don't want that, but that's not what we're talking about. I think what comes to mind when we talk about the COVID-19 thing was, I don't say the government because everybody freaks out when you say something like that.
Yeah.
But let's just use that phrase with that understanding. The government told people to do something and everybody just did it. Fauci told everybody certain things and people just believed it. And then, whoops, he has a diary. He has to give testimony. The diary is made public. It turns out he did pressure DeSantis to shut things down in Florida. He did pressure Gavin Newsom to do the same thing in California. I mean, he lied about things.
Right.
He did make money, cash prizes for things.
And we know all that now. But then, I mean, how much bandwidth does the average person have to figure out, I probably don't really, wearing this mask is not going to mean anything.
But there are at least we could agree to this. It sort of goes back to, let's pick something we can agree on. If you were the only person in the world and is it okay to smoke a cigarette outdoors? Yes.
Sure.
Okay, if there were two people in the world and one was on this side of the planet and one was on the other side of the planet, no matter trade winds and all of that, could either one of those smoke a cigarette? The answer is yes. Anyway, you go down this road and it's degrees on a continuum. If I am 500 yards from you and there is no health risk to you, but people don't care. If the government says don't do it, then you don't do it. And all I'm talking about is there are things about the COVID. I know we're retreading, 6-year-old stuff, but there are things about COVID that common sense tells you don't have to be afraid of that. There is no health reason to wear a mask in your car when you are alone driving at 70 miles an hour for a 3-hour trip. If you want to do it, do it. If that's a fashion statement you want to make, wear a mask. But there's no health reason to do it. And it is okay to be a little skeptical when people tell you, no, you have to do this. We're finding out. I mean, look, we have people in the military that lost their gigs in the military because they did not want to have an mRNA vaccine. I mean, businesses shut down.
Sure.
Lives were changed forever. And people talk about the number of people that died from COVID. We talked about it in the time. Did they die from COVID or did they die with COVID?
Right.
If somebody dies in a car crash and they break their leg falls off, or have a heart attack and they had COVID, did they die with COVID or did they die of COVID? If you're going to say they died of COVID, then I would say let's go back and look at all the people that died in that year and how many of those people had been vaccinated. Are we going to say they died from the vaccination or did they die having been vaccinated? No, a person that died in a car crash that had been vaccinated probably died from the car crash.
Right.
A person that had COVID and died in a car crash probably died from the car crash. But there was a manipulation that went on, and people just like zombies did it because they were told to do it. And again, I'm not against doing things that make sense, and I'm not saying that I know more than a scientist. I think a lot of people are surprised. It turns out maybe they did know more than Anthony Fauci on some things. Maybe they did. Maybe he was wrong about some things. Details come out that perhaps he was. And people's lives were upended because of the directives that came at his recommendations. And he was not always right. But there was a force of the government behind everybody just do this. And again, I do believe mRNA vaccines ultimately will probably cure cancer, probably cure AIDS. But that was a government-forced clinical trial. 200 million people were forced at the threat of losing their job or losing their gig or losing whatever. 200 million people were forced into a clinical trial. That's the problem I had with it. Not that we can't learn things from clinical trials, but people should volunteer for clinical trials, not be made to be part of it. And that's what I think happened at that time. So Anthony Fauci did invoke his Fifth Amendment right more than 100 times. Mm-hmm. And Senator Rand Paul says there is a very real chance that Fauci could be prosecuted after taking the Fifth in the Senate hearing. Now, the way I understand it, and I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but the way I understand it is when he was granted immunity through the pardon, mm-hmm. it was such a weird thing. It's the last day of Joe Biden's time as president.
Right.
The last day. Like everybody knows, he had lost it by then. But on the last day, there is a signed pardon for a whole bunch of people. In the case of Anthony Fauci, it went back to 2014. Anything he did from 2014.
Which is way before.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
All the way to January 20th, 2025. Pardoned. Presidential pardon. Now, that doesn't apply to state crimes or municipal crimes, mm-hmm. but it does apply to everything federal. And so the question is, why would you take the Fifth? Do you have the right to take the Fifth if you have been pardoned? And the answer is you don't.
So how did he?
Well, see, that's the thing, that he may in fact be pursued. So hours after his testimony, Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky tells CBS News he believes Fauci can be prosecuted.
Wasn't that even one of the questions he was asked?
Which one?
During you've already been pardoned.
Yes.
You don't have the right.
Yeah, and I don't know how they put that in the form of a question, but yeah, they said you don't have the right to do that.
Yeah.
In his opening statement, it was on Wednesday, Fauci said he did plan to assert the Fifth Amendment, and he argued that, this is a quote, that Rand Paul has an obvious obsession with calling for my prosecution and has made slanderous comments about me, he said. Then he invoked the Fifth Amendment for several hours. Republicans criticized him. Democrats defended him. And in an interview on CBS News, Rand Paul argued Fauci's lack of answers could lead to federal criminal charges for contempt of Congress or obstructing a congressional hearing. Here's the quote. I think there's a very real chance that he could be prosecuted for that. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants people the right not to incriminate themselves, which generally allows them to decline to answer questions. But in this case, a preemptive pardon from Joe Biden that was issued to Fauci, as I said, just hours before leaving office, which most people believe was auto pen, could prevent Fauci from invoking the Fifth Amendment, since he cannot be prosecuted for any of the issues that the lawmakers were asking him about. So we'll see. It may be sound and fury, but it was a reminder of those days. The war over the weekend, you recall that the president had called for a stoppage after 14 nights of bombings by the U.S. against Iran. The president started the week by saying talks are still going on. Iran is begging for a deal. They want a deal. They want a deal so bad. Well, Iran, as you might imagine, denied that and said, no, we're not talking. But then they just unloaded an attack that night. And they did put an exclamation point on it, so that there could be no doubt that what the president said wasn't true. We're not engaged. We're not engaged in talks with the U.S. is what they were saying, and that would be on display for everybody to see. And the president got ticked, and so we retaliated. That's what's going on the last couple of nights, and now the footprint of the war is even bigger. Egypt has been brought in. They were struck for the first time in this war, the widening war, which now includes the U.S., Israel, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, the Gulf states, which is UAE, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, and the terrorist proxies for Iran, which is Hezbollah and the Houthis, both Muslim terrorist groups. Anyway, the war is ongoing, and it's not going to change. Then the president said, okay, we're going to stop. Now, we talked about before, many people believed that was in part because he had gotten advice from General Kane, Dan Kane, Raisin Kane, and Pete Hegseth and others, that we got to be careful about our munitions, our stockpile of our weapons. So we got to be careful. And many people thought that the tapping of the brakes there was in part because of that. And see if we also, by the way, can get the talks going again. So the president pauses it. And now whoever is the first to make the attack, they become the aggressor, don't they? In other words, when it was before that we would attack and Iran would attack us back, we would attack Iran. We did start it. Mm-hmm. And then Iran would attack us back. They would respond. We would initiate. They would respond. After we paused, who was the first to get it going again? They were. So now they're the ones driving it.
Right.
They attack. We respond. They attack. We respond. I know we've talked about this 100 times, but it's amazing that the only thing we want right now, the only thing we want is to open up the Strait of Hormuz, which was open before we attacked.
Before all of this started.
And now it is the thing we need the most before we can go and talk about anything else. Enriched uranium, the stockpile, the ability to enrich, the dust, as the president calls it, ballistic manufacturing. And yet right now we're stuck. We're stuck at this made up thing where now we're begging them to open up the strait, which they are not going to do. It is not going to happen. Anyway, we're 5 months into the 4 to 6 week war, and it's not going to change anytime soon. One quick word about Todd Blanche. This is Todd Blanche, who is the acting attorney general and the person that the president has nominated to be the real attorney general. One of the things we talked about before is that when you are an acting whatever, fill in the blank, acting director of Homeland Security, acting director of NIH, acting director of anything, or acting attorney general, you're sort of beholden to the president in a way that you're not when you actually have been confirmed. In other words, the president has the ability to name someone to be the acting attorney general. Mm-hmm. Then he put up Todd Blanche's name, nominated him to be the attorney general. So that has been going through committee. The Homeland Security Committee has been interviewing him, and you saw those things. And now all those members of the committee are voting to get it out of committee and to get it up for a vote. Well, the president needs every single senator that is Republican to vote for Blanche. So none of them can go away. Now, put a pin in that for a second, because remember when the president had to pick someone for the Texas runoff in the Republican primary for the Senate seat?
I do.
He primaried John Cornyn. He backed Ken Paxton. Paxton beat Cornyn in the primary, and Cornyn was left there for another 7 months. He's still there.
Yeah. And
they call those people that are there, Tillis is one, Senator Tillis, who's also not supporting Todd Blanche. They call those senators the YOLO brothers, or the YOLO senators. You only live once. Mm-hmm. So we're like, I'm not beholden to you anymore.
Yeah.
You had me primaried, and now I'm going to do, you could view it one of two ways. You could say, hey, these are senators. It's sour grapes, man. They're just mad the president didn't endorse them. The president didn't back them. And so they're doing this to strike out or strike back at the president. Another way to view it is, no, they now have no reason to do anything except what they really, really believe. And in this case, John Cornyn and Tillis, they don't believe that there should be this $1.8 billion slush fund that is a real problem. And they're not going to support Blanche until it is clear that that is really dead. It's not just going away. It's not on pause. It's dead. And Blanche won't respond to them to their satisfaction, to John Cornyn's satisfaction anyway. And now the president says, just yesterday, the president said, well, I'll just temporarily pull his name. We'll leave him as acting attorney general. I'll temporarily pull his name. And then once Tillis and Cornyn are gone, I'll put the name back in, which he can do. He can do that. And he just might. Among the downside is that all that time then between now and the time that he actually is confirmed, if he is confirmed, Todd Blanche is the acting attorney general, which does put him a little bit more, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, right away, sir, than he would be if he were actually confirmed by the Senate. Then the Senate would be actually agreeing with the president and putting him in place. So I think Cornyn probably won't bow, but the president is not going to be deterred. If he wants Todd Blanche, he's going to get him one way or the other. Oh, it is the time for Scattershoot.
Let's go.
Wilder Show, Scattershoot. All right.
Dallas Market Hall, maybe the end of an era for our.
Oh, really?
For our fair city.
That's the flat building, right? It's real flat and it's huge on the inside.
Yeah, kind of dated looking, actually, which is, I think, sort of its charm as far as I'm concerned. 66 years in Dallas. And just a little bit older than we are. And there's some question, I guess. Maybe by the time this drops, there will be less of a question. But so it's not closed yet, but it is not scheduling. They're not scheduling any events for Dallas Market Hall into the future. There is one final event this weekend, and I think it is a jiu-jitsu competition or something like that.
Really?
And then beyond that, there's nothing else scheduled. And there are rumors of a 40-acre data center campus proposed by Dallas developer Crow Holdings. Yeah, Crow Holdings has declined to provide additional details right now, but apparently, so they have this 40-acre site that spans from an empty field that's right next to a Children's Medical Center, all the way to Market Hall, and so that's the piece of land that they're talking about, and the fact that Market Hall is also not scheduling any events anymore in the future suggests that maybe that will be a part of this data center. Do you have a favorite Market Hall memory?
When I think of Market Hall, I think of boat shows.
Oh, boat shows.
And I think of they had an electronics, like a stereo.
It was the Highland Appliance electronic thing, which I think has been. I did a little bit of research for this because so boat show. Actually, I remember taking the boys, my boys, to a boat show there when they were very little. And were we going to buy a boat? Heck no. But we had the best day climbing in and out of boats at the boat show. But I remember the Highland Appliance electronic thing, which I did not remember that Highland Appliance was a store that started, a big box electronic store that started in the Detroit area and was very popular throughout the Midwest, and then moved into our area. And over Labor Day weekend, it would be the electronic thing, and it would be funny. Like a big clearance sale of. I would go. I feel like I went for years and years and years. Maybe I went 2 or 3 times, but I always sort of drooling over the fancy stereo equipment, the Technique stereo equipment. I was in love with.
I had back in those days. I had a Technique. I think Technique turntable. I had.
I think I had a Technique turntable too. I know I had a tuner.
Had JBL speakers, as I recall. Yeah, those were days. I mean, your stereo took up half your wall.
I know.
I mean, it was everything.
The bigger it was, the better it was.
Now it's
Speakers were like toddler size.
They were.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bigger the better.
You could use them as an end table.
That's right.
I think we did.
Those were good days. Different days, obviously. Never to return.
We did a lot of work at Market Hall too. I know we did remote broadcasts.
Remote broadcasts there.
At RV shows and car shows, things like that.
Yeah, I still remember that parking. I think I do that parking lot. The parking lot there, because there was trees and grass. It was a sort of a little greenery outside. It wasn't just one big flat concrete parking lot.
Right.
And so it's going away. Was it really going away, or is it maybe not going away?
Well,
maybe.
And it kind of looks like it's going away. Okay. But we'll see. I mean, they were having it, like I said, there's an event there this weekend. There were events there. I think there was like some big party planning expo there just over the last weekend. So we'll see, but it doesn't look good right now for Dallas Market Hall.
That must be a lot of jiu-jitsu people. If they're going, that's a big place to have a.
I guess so.
Big kick fest. Whatever.
I've never been to one. I couldn't really tell you.
Maybe they have a lot. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a new study that suggests you actually can put a price on love.
$12.
It's way more than that. You're living in the way back, which maybe, I mean, I think that I probably would have looked at this differently when I was younger. Now this kind of makes sense to me. I don't think that this is, if you pay attention to the whole thing, it might not come as a surprise to you that the data from this survey puts the price tag on love at $106,417 a year. As in, that's the average salary that respondents believe a person needs to earn before either they can find love on their own or they would be able to find love with a person who makes that salary.
Interesting.
This comes from a survey of 2,000 Americans, which is commissioned, I think this is interesting, commissioned by the consumer finance app Current, and it's conducted by Talker Research, which is, if this is what I'm missing every time I turn down a spam call, I mean, I might be missing some really fun fun questions. Although I don't think I would have fallen in the demographic for this, because this was, mostly young people who are dating and looking for a mate right now. And they found that money weighs really heavily on romance nowadays. 25% of Americans believe that their own finances have kept them from finding true love. Maybe debt that they have. You don't want to, student debt or any kind of debt, or maybe if you're not making a lot of money, you might feel like you are not attractive to, if you know that most of these respondents are looking for someone who makes $106,417 a year, and you're making, half or less of that, you might think you're not, really in the running for a partner.
I have a workaround.
What's that?
Date people that don't take surveys.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think if you look at all of the reasons that people are looking for someone who, what does a $106,417 a year salary signify? It could signify someone who is responsible, who is ambitious. I guess if that didn't come right to my mind, maybe I don't have as much of it as I should. It's about more than just how much somebody earns. It's their money management skills. It's whether or not they're constantly borrowing money, whether or not they're just generally responsible with money. A big income can catch somebody's eye, but it's really more the habits behind that income that matter to someone. Would you have thought, like when you were a young person, if you fell in love with somebody who was broke or in a lot of debt, would you have
shunned them?
Would you have?
No.
And maybe should you have?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. You wouldn't have even looked at it.
Well, I look back at what I was making when I got married. It's just ridiculous. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I know it was a go time.
Yeah,
but still, it's like you at that time you had 2 car payments, and shortly after that had a house payment and a mortgage rather, and all the things, and insurance and babies, and it was tight times.
Oh, sure.
For a long time.
Sure.
I think sometimes those become, and I respect for trying to make sure you have it together before you impose yourself on someone else, but there is that sense where if you're waiting to be ready, you might never be ready.
Yeah, I understand that.
It's always like, well, I can't do this because I might do that. Think about when we first bought our first homes, and you think, gosh, there's no way. There's no way we can make that mortgage payment, and there's no way. At that time, certainly anybody's job could have been lost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you said, well, you know what? I really don't think we should buy that house until we can basically pay for it 3 times over, or a guarantee I'll never lose my job. Or if you put those same kind of conditions on a relationship, sometimes, not to be, me, how fairy tale-esque I am, but sometimes the synergy that takes place in the relationship makes things even better. It doesn't make people less. But I know it can go both ways. But if what you're saying is, and that number would just go up 10 years from now, that number would be $425,000. So unless you make $425,000 a year, you probably shouldn't date anybody.
Well, I'm not going so far as to say that you shouldn't date anyone unless you make $106,417 a year. And it should be noted that if you are a person on your own right now in certain cities across America, $106,417 a year is barely, is just enough for you to get the bills paid.
Yeah, it won't do it.
I think maybe it's not so much, what that dollar amount is, but like I said, what it signifies. Sure. Think about your own kids. Mm-hmm. If one of your kids came to you and had, they told you that this is the person that they thought they wanted to marry, and they said they were really honest with you and said, "But here's the deal.
He's a sculptor.
He's an artist. He's a sculptor who's $100,000 in debt.
He's an artist." Yeah, it'd be a challenge. I understand.
But I'm really, really, really in love.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I understand.
And I'm not I'm not poo-pooing really being in love.
Yeah.
But those kinds of things would make you a little more maybe concerned for and I know we said he's, which suggests that this would only be a daughter who would do this. And I don't think that's true. I think the same thing can be said, for a young man who might fall in love with a girl and
that brings up
she's got $100,000 worth of debt. That
brings up an interesting question or point. Would we view that in the same for either gender? In other words, if you have a gentleman that is making, let's say whatever, making X number of dollars, and you say, well, that is not evidence that he's ambitious enough or he's serious enough or whatever. Why would that not apply exactly the same in our world where we don't like there to be any differences now?
Personally, I think it does.
It does.
I mean, I think it is the same.
Really?
I would look at it the same.
I don't think it is. I think if a girl brought a guy home and the guy was, let's take the numbers out and just say the guy's not working at all. The guy's not working at all, but he's got some dreams.
Yeah,
he's working on some stuff. He's got some ideas, and he's working on a novel. If a girl brought a guy home like that, and she's making like $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year, doing something, that would be viewed one way. If it were exactly the opposite, I can't imagine it would be viewed exactly the same way.
Well, it would be by me. I mean, why would you not be worried then that all of the hard work that your son is going to do is going to be squandered by someone who is not responsible enough to not rake up a bunch of debt that they can't pay?
I understand. It's tough, man. I just think there's so many things that are in the way of people these days getting together that I like when there aren't more of them, and say, if someone walked around thinking, well, I can't ever do it. I'll never be able to do it. I will never be at that level.
Well, I think the message is not, I will never be at that level. The message is be responsible, take care of your own stuff.
Yeah.
Not that you need to find a job that pays $100,000, but that you need to be a good steward of what you do have. And just be responsible. Pay your bills. Don't rack up more than you can pay. You and I were radio raised on the No Jive headline.
Yeah, the No Jive headline. No blank Sherlock.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. No Jive headline.
Yes. I have one for you.
Go.
Nearly half of fatal e-scooter crashes involved alcohol, says Swedish data.
Hello. Yeah, it's I'm not you're talking about the motorized scooters?
The e-scooters.
Oh,
e-motorized scooters. Yeah.
I think I've tried to do it one time very shortly.
Did you really?
Yeah. It's impossible. The little tiny wheels on it. It's just like
gotta have a really strong core.
Like I said before, it almost is like every one of those should just come with a cast.
Yeah.
It seems like a ripoff to have to go buy the cast later.
Oh, after? Yeah.
You're going to need it anyway.
Yeah, this comes from a Swedish study that showed across 204 fatal crashes in Sweden. This was between 200 Fatal crashes. I mean, that's half of fatal e-scooter crashes involved alcohol. Mm-hmm. So there were 204 fatal crashes in Sweden between 2016 and 2024. They found that e-scooter deaths followed a completely different pattern than bicycle deaths. And I think they expected them to kind of be the same. They found that alcohol was involved in 44.4% of those fatal e-scooter crashes versus only 12.5% for conventional bikes. And most of the impaired riders were on their own private scooters. So these were not scooters like those green scooters that used to litter the urban trash. Exactly. These were scooters that they actually owned. So you would think that they know how to ride them. It wasn't a lack of skill. It was maybe just the impairment. None of the 18 e-scooter riders who died was wearing a helmet, even though head injuries were the top cause of death in every group.
Wait, none of the 18 died?
Of 204 fatal crashes in Sweden, e-scooter deaths followed a completely different pattern than bicycle deaths.
Okay.
So they're looking at 204 deaths among e-scooter riders and bicycle riders. Okay. A combination of all of those.
Got it.
Of the deaths that were attributed to e-scooters, 44% of them were involved alcohol. Only 12% of the bicycle deaths involved alcohol.
Got it. Yeah, don't mix alcohol and anything. But
not an e-scooter for sure.
Not e-scooters.
And wear your helmet.
I don't like e-scooters. Maybe people love them. I think some people do love them, but it seems like it's such a fad-ish thing.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's doing it and then nobody's doing it.
My oldest kid had an e-scooter for a while. That he lives in a big city, does not have a car. He liked it. For a while, he had his job was kind of far away from home. He had to take a train to get to the job. So the e-scooter was his way of getting from his home to the train.
To the train, okay.
And after two, I say minor crashes, they didn't involve any broken bones or serious injuries. He decided that's enough.
So you take the scooter on the train with him?
You fold it up.
Really?
Yeah, you just fold it up and stick it in your backpack.
Golly, that's crazy.
Not anymore, though. It's gone now.
A moment in time. Mm-hmm. I had a little mini bike when I was in college.
Yeah.
And I think I bought it for $350. Drove it around rode it around for a couple of years. Then sold it for $300.
A mini bike, like a motorized bike, like a little motorcycle.
Gas powered motorcycle.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a little tiny one. It was basically like we used to call those scooters. We used to call those scooters, but now people think of the scooter that you stand on as a scooter.
I guess so. Yeah.
Or the electronic or the electric scooter. So not that, but like a scooter, like a Vespa type thing. But it wasn't Vespa. That was a Yamaha.
Did you wear a helmet?
No.
No.
I didn't even own a helmet.
Were you supposed to? I mean, was there a helmet?
I think it was back in the
dark ages when nobody cared about your head.
I don't think they made helmets then. So no, I didn't wear a helmet. I really don't think I even owned a helmet.
Yeah.
I just took it around, of course everybody says that before they get hit by a bread truck, but I just took it, in short jaunts.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever told this story on the podcast. You can tell me if I'm wrong about that. This same kid who, surprisingly enough, after the story that I'm about to tell, still had that e-scooter that he rode for a while. This is nearly 30, probably 27 years ago when you first started. The Razor scooter was a big thing.
Yeah.
And he wanted one of those scooters.
Yeah, no.
And we got him one of those scooters. And I don't remember how long he had it before he took a tumble and hit his head. And after a few hours of being uncomfortable and trying to rest it out, he said, I think I'm going to throw up. So we went to the emergency room.
Sure.
And I parked the car while my mom went into the hospital, walked him in. And they got into an examining room really quickly. And I walked in just in time to hear the doctor say, "Do you have a helmet?" Because he wasn't wearing a helmet. And at the time, I mean, I know there were helmets available, but by contrast, they took care of him. He did have a concussion. Several days later, this was a young doctor at the time. I mean, he was 9. I was in my early 30s. Doctor was younger than I was. Several days later, we went for follow-up to our much older pediatrician, who said, I wouldn't have even thought you'd have to wear a helmet with something like that. Yeah. So, the evolution of how we've come to not rely on helmets, but know the importance of them and know the difference they can make in your level of injury if you take a tumble.
My dad used to say about guys that would ride motorcycles without helmets.
Yeah,
I said if you're riding a motorcycle without a helmet, you don't have anything in your head worth protecting.
Yeah. How seriously do you take use by, best by, and sell by dates on the things that you buy?
This is really, really interesting.
Okay,
because I know there is some change afoot. I think it's in California. About whether it's use by, best by, or sell by. Let me think of those in the order. Sell by is the first date.
I can tell you what all of them mean.
Use by means we don't recommend you using it after the use by date.
It just means that there is a date where you will find peak quality of a product. They're not safety dates, with the exception of things like infant formula, things like that. If the date passes during home storage, a product should still be safe and wholesome if you've handled it properly until spoilage is evident. And how is spoilage evident?
You smell the milk.
Yeah, you smell it. Yeah, you smell it. I tell my kids that all the time.
Yeah, smell it. There's someplace, maybe it wasn't California, that they're doing away with them. Are they doing away? Is that the story you've got?
No.
They're doing away with something. One of the dates they're doing away with. But to answer your question, I don't give it much weight. I mean, I wouldn't buy something on the shelf.
Yeah.
From the shelf if it said, basically.
If it's out of date.
If it's out of date, I wouldn't buy it.
Do you check that?
You know what? I'm embarrassed to say I really don't.
I've gotten caught sometimes and had to take something back to the store. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I've been burned on. I like the Hawaii buns.
Oh, Hawaiian bread?
Yeah, Hawaiian bread sliders.
Oh, yeah.
And one time I opened it up and I pulled it out. I was like, this is not right at all.
Was it not the right color?
It wasn't the color. It was just how hard it was. It was like maybe some air got in there or something. But milk I'd pay attention to. Eggs I pay attention to. Orange juice I pay attention to. There's even like.
So you look at it when you're in the store? They're the bane of my existence. More so since I need glasses to read it, and sometimes even I need a little extra light to see it when I have the glasses on.
I will use those dates to whether I need to throw it out.
Yeah,
but I don't. But there's even like a date. There's a use by date like on Diet Coke.
Oh, there is.
Which I didn't even know.
Well, let's take a look at them really quick. So you were talking about how now whether or not they're even required. Dating food items isn't required by U.S. federal law, except for, we mentioned, infant formula and baby food, but most manufacturers still do it voluntarily. And often food is perfectly safe to eat past its, what we call its expiration date. So we talked already about use by dates. And like I said, those are the things that suggest peak quality of a product. It's not a safety date. It just means that that's when it's going to be at its peak freshness. Right. Yes. So you might also see best if used by. That's also strictly a quality date. It suggests when the product will have its best taste and texture. It doesn't mean you can't eat it after that date is passed. It just might not taste as good. It might you might not have the same experience if you eat it. And again, all of these things go back to if it smells bad, if it feels slimy, don't eat it.
That's right.
Sell by date. I see sell by dates a lot too. This label indicates to stores how long a product should remain on the shelves. Products are often safe to consume, though, well after that sell date passes. But according to the Institute for Food Safety and Health, 1/3 of a product's shelf life remains after the sell-by date for the consumer use at home. So if you've got a package of, I think you see sell-by dates, I see it a lot on meat. It might say sell by July 31st. That would mean that would be today. That doesn't mean that today's the last day I should cook it.
Okay.
A lot of times it'll say packed on this date, sell by this date. You can know you've got or sell by in that case. You've got a few days left to use it, and you're gonna know if you open it and smell it. You're gonna know if it's bad. There's one more too: expires on or do not use date, and that again, that's the kind of thing with baby formula. Some baking ingredients like cake mixes, baking powder, and yeast. You're gonna see that on like when we used to.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really use packages of yeast very much anymore, but I do remember seeing the dates on there. Yeah, I mean, if you have yeast that is expired, chances are it's not going to do the thing that you want it to do. But if you keep, one of the things they said too, your eggs, keep your eggs in the package that they come in, instead of taking them out and sticking them in a different bowl. They're best kept in the package that you get them in from the store. Keep them in the coldest part of your refrigerator. So there are things that you can do to keep things at their peak freshness. But most of the time, if you go through a cabinet and just throw away the things that are out of date, that might not really be necessary.
Growing up and working at the grocery store, there was a colored dot code on the at the very back of the bread rack. We put the loaves of bread in. Yeah. And it had to do with the twisty tie color.
Oh.
So a blue twisty tie meant it was a Monday.
Okay.
And the yellow twisty tie meant it was a Tuesday.
You mean that it landed on the shelf on Monday or Tuesday? Okay.
And so you could know these are the old ones, these are the new ones. I think that was long before they even put the actual date on the thing. Yeah. It's now on the clip. Okay. I think is on there. I'm more worried about my own personal expiration date.
You got that stamped on you somewhere? I hope not. That'd be kind of...
It is stamped on all of us.
No, well, not where we can see it.
No, thankfully. That is the Wilder Show podcast, dropping Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. Central Time or before, on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube, on the TikTok now and again, Instagram as Wilder Show Pod. Our email is podcast@wildershow.com. And you can also just engage us wherever you listen, wherever the platform is. Just drop a note or a thumbs up. It'd be great. Wherever you get your podcast, would you like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share? And we thank you. And thank you, Lauren.
You bet.
And we'll see you next time. Da 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 da